Hi everyone, these are the notes for equations of lines. The video is not that long, but you need to be filling in your notes as you watch the video in class today. While I'm absent, you may not leave the classroom for the duration of the class period, so please do not ask the substitute to leave and go to the restroom or the library or to see a different teacher or anything like that. So the notes today review how to write equations of lines in different forms. The forms that we're going to be using today are point-slope form that you have listed on the front of the notes. Remember that m is the slope and x1 and y1 is any given point on the line. You may be given multiple points on the line, but you can pick one to use in your point-slope form. The other form that we're going to be using is slope-intercept form. This is the normal one that you're used to seeing, which is y equals mx plus b. M still represents the slope, and b is the y-intercept. One other reminder in your notes is that the equation of a vertical line is x equals the number, where that a that you see in your notes represents the number on the x-axis. For example, if I were going to draw the equation for this line, a vertical line going through an x value of 2, I would write the equation as x equals 2. The equation of a horizontal line is similar, so if I have the equation of this line shown going through a y value of -3, I would say the equation of that horizontal line is y equals -3. So example 1 has two parts. They ask for you to write the equation of each line in point-slope form. And remember that point-slope form on the front of your notes is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. For point-slope form, you need a point and a slope. So in part A, it says that it wants the equation of the line with the slope of 3. So your m value will be 3, and it needs to go through the point -2, 1. -2 is your x1, and your 1 is y1. So I'm going to substitute those values into my formula. I have y minus y1, so that would be 1, equals m, which is 3, times x minus x1, which is -2, so I'm going to change my sign and put x plus 2. This is what I'm asked to find for number 1a. So pause the video for a moment and try example 1b. In 1b, it asks for the line with the slope of -2/3 and through the point 4, -6. So this is my m value, this is my x1, this is my y1, and your equation using the point-slope formula should be y plus 6 equals -2/3 times x minus 4. So let's move on to the next example. Example 2 changes a little bit. It asks for us to write the equation of each line, but now in slope-intercept form. And for slope-intercept form, you need a slope and the y-intercept. Looking at the front of my notes, that looks like y equals mx plus b. So in part A, it wants the equation of the line through the point -12, -6, and through the point 8, 9. So from that point, that pair of points, I need to find the slope. So I can use my slope formula that we've been using over the last day or two. So 9 minus -6 and 8 minus -12. 9 minus -6 is 15, and 8 minus -12 is 20. That can be simplified to be 3/4. So that's my slope that I'm going to use in my formula. I have a couple different options from here. I can either plug this directly into slope-intercept form using one of my points and then solve for b, or I can use this slope and I can put it in point-slope form with one of my points and then solve to get my equation in slope-intercept form. So I'm going to do one of each option. For part A, I'm going to go ahead and substitute the 8 and the 9 for x and for y, and then I'm going to use my 3/4 as my m. So I'll have 9 equals 3/4 times 8 plus my b, my unknown b value that I'm not sure what it is yet. I'm going to go ahead and do my multiplication. So 9 is equal to 6 plus b, and in order to solve for b, I would subtract 6. So b is equal to 3. That's my y-intercept. So to write the line, the equation of the line in slope-intercept form through those 2 points, I would write y equals 3/4 x plus 3. So there's one way to get the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. In example 2b, we're going to try a different way. You can choose either method that you like. You don't have to do them both. But in part b, it wants the line through the points -2, 4, and 8, 10. So I'm going to go ahead and calculate my slope using the slope formula. So I have 10 minus 4 over 8 minus -2. So that's 6 over 10, and that simplifies to 3/5. So 3/5 is my slope that I'm going to be using. Now I mentioned that we're going to do this a little bit differently. In the end, I still want slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, but I'm going to go about it a different way. So I'm going to actually use point-slope form because I have my slope and I have a point. So point-slope form formula looks like this. I'm going to substitute 10 for y1. My m value is 3/5. That was my slope that I calculated. And x minus x1, which is 8. I'm going to go ahead and solve for y so that in the end I will have y equals mx plus b. But before I solve for y, I've got to distribute my 3/5 to both the x and to the -8. So I have y minus 10 equals 3/5 x minus 24/5. And the issue that I encounter is that the next step is to add 10 to both sides, but 10 does not have a common denominator with my -24/5. So I'm going to go ahead and create something with a common denominator of 5. So I have y minus 50/5 equals 3/5 x minus 24/5. And I'm going to add 50/5 to both sides. I'm going to find that my y is equal to 3/5 x plus 26/5. And this is my slope-intercept form. For example 3, it asks for you to write the equation of each of the lines in point-slope form, so we're switching back to point-slope form. Point-slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. This is located on the front of your notes. In part A, it asks about the line through the point 2, 6 and 5, -4. I'm given a point, in fact I'm given 2 points, and I can choose whichever one I want to use, but I do need to calculate my slope. So I want you to pause the video and try to calculate the slope from these 2 points. So once you calculate your slope, you should see that the value of m is -10/3. Whenever I use point-slope form to write the equation of my line, I have a choice. I can use my first point in the slope or the second point in the slope. So the options for this are y minus 6 equals -10/3 times x minus 2. So this is one option. Or my other option comes from using my slope and my second point. So I could write y plus 4 equals -10/3 times x minus 5. And either of these would be acceptable answers. I would not count either one of them wrong. And with part B, it asks for the line with the x-intercept of 3 and the y-intercept of -5. And we've not seen that so far this year, but you have seen it in the past. If a line has an x-intercept of 3, that means that its ordered pair at the intersection is 3, 0. And the y-intercept is at 0, -5. Now you have 2 points that you can calculate the slope and then write your equation in point-slope form with. So pause the video and try to calculate the slope and write point-slope form. So once you calculate your slope, you should get a positive 5/3. And you have two choices to write for your point slope form of the equation. You can write either y minus 0 equals 5/3 times x minus 3, or you can write y plus 5 equals 5/3 times x minus 0. Either of these, again, are acceptable answers, and I would not count either one of them wrong. So let's move on to the last section of our notes. The last section of our notes asks us to graph the lines, and there are only two of them. One of them I notice is in slope-intercept form, and the second one is in point-slope form. So in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, I can go ahead and extract some information from this equation. I know that my slope, my rise over run, is -3/2, and I know that my y-intercept is going to be at 1, so 0, 1 for the point. So I'm going to go ahead and plot the point 0, 1. And since my slope is negative, that means my rise is actually going to be down. I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3 and over 1, 2, verifying that my line from point to point is going to extend and go down. I can continue down 1, 2, 3 and over 1, 2. I can also get the other part of the line by going backwards. I can go up 1, 2, 3 and back 1, 2. You should use your straight edge, your ID, and you should create the line that goes through those points. For the second equation, take a moment to try and write point slope form underneath that equation and extract the two pieces of information that the equation gives. Pause the video. Once you've written the point slope form underneath that equation, you can pick out that the slope is 2/5, but the point that you can extract from that equation is 2, 3. And some people confuse the signs, but remember that the formula has y minus y1, so the y1 piece is actually 3. And it has x minus x1, which means that the x1 piece that's being subtracted is actually 2. So your point is 2, 3. So I'm going to graph my point, which is 2, 3, over 2, up 3. I'm going to use my slope of 2/5 to find the next point on my line. So I'm going to go up 1, 2 and over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm kind of off of my graph here. But I can extend my line backwards by doing the opposite of up 2 to the right 5. I'm going to go down 2 and back 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if I did it again, I would be off of my graph, but take your straight edge and go ahead and create your line. That concludes today's notes. For the rest of the class period, go ahead and glue your notes on page 39. Pick up an assignment if you haven't done so already and complete as much of your homework as you can. You should have plenty of time to get a lot taken care of. Have a great day, y'all. See you tomorrow.